Hello everyone, it's me, Robert, back for another video. Yes, Auto Assembly has been gone, Auto Assembly 2014, and before I say anything about the convention, let me just start by saying that I am currently experiencing the worst case of AA post-AA blues I've experienced in a long while, which tells me something. It tells me that this Auto Assembly was the most enjoyable I've ever been to. From just meeting great friends, to being in loads of dodgy photographs, hell, even being lifted up by Gruff. It was just a fantastic time from start to finish. It really was. I'm sounding slightly worn out, slightly saddened, and slightly missing all those good friends that I've been with for the past couple of days. Now, I don't get very emotional that much, but trust me, yeah, a couple of like hours ago I was quite emotional. So yes, let's just talk about Auto Assembly really, and you'll notice I'm in a completely different location. I'm actually on holiday in Northamptonshire, in a cottage in the middle of nowhere, which is kind of good, it's kind of bad. The piece is very relaxing, especially after AA, but well, it's quite isolated as well, so it has both good and bad. So yeah, I got there on the Friday. I got there nice and early, around 11 o'clock, and who's the first person that I should meet but Jim? Jim, you sexy man, you, my word. The amount of, let me just warn you, if you are a friend of me on Facebook, or if you know anyone who went to AA, then your wall is basically going to be filled up with some very weird photographs coming out of the event. There was a lot of man love going on. There was a lot of bromance over the weekend, because yeah, that's what happens when people haven't seen each other for a year. Stuff gets real fast. So yeah, saw Jim, spoke to him, went into the actual bar and just started talking to everyone. Last year, I talked to people, but it was more of a, oh hi, I've never actually met you before, because last year I didn't talk to anyone. Nice to meet you. Oh, I've only seemed to be talking to you for like a second. This year it was more like, hey, remember me? We spoke like for a couple of minutes last year. Let's actually have a full conversation this year, and that's what happened. I just sat down with so many great friends and just talked about anything. I'm literally anything. Star Trek, Mass Effect, yes, the occasional Transformers, but just anything. Irishman, I mean, Adam White impressions. It was anything and everything. Firecons, gee, anything that you could possibly think of was talked about. And that's what I just love about Auto Assembly, because it's just a time to catch up and just say, hey, what have you been up to for the past year? Let's just share like-mindedness, which is awesome. So yeah, Friday was mainly just talking to people really, and finding out the crazy stuff that went on Thursday. Now I weren't there Thursday, but I have heard a lot of stories from Thursday, shall I say, of all of those who went to the Guardians of the Galaxy showing. So yes, next year I will be there on the Thursday. I will from now on, my Auto Assembly will consist of Thursday to Monday, because it's just so much better that way. It really is. I mean, yes, I'm probably more exhausted this year, but it's worth it. And yes, as I said before, the post-AA blues is worse this year. But you know what? It's worth it. It really is, because just when you're at AA, I can't describe it, really. Well, if you need to be there to understand it, frankly. So yeah, talk to everyone. Got all my bits and stuff, the passes, which I'll show off all of the stuff in a separate video. This is literally just thoughts, just talking about what went on, because so much happened this year. So yes, Friday evening, shall we say, me, Jim, Raz and Luke, Katrina, and Adam White, and somebody else. And I apologise. Your name is just on the tip of the cusp of my brain, but I can't remember. We all basically went out to Frankie and Benny. It's a bit like last year, except it was a bit more calmer, a bit more relaxed, and it was a brilliant time. It was just nice to get away from the busyness of AA, because it was busy. There was a lot of people this year. They broke into the 900s. I think it was 930 something. That's just crazy, to be honest. And like one of the days I did, don't ask me how. I was in an elevator and all of a sudden one of the staff from the Hilton started talking to me, and we got into a conversation about how on the Saturday every single room in the Hilton was full. I mean, that just proves. Obviously, it weren't just all AA members; it was the quilters as well. But that is ridiculous. That's awesome. That just shows you how much love the convention is getting, and the people I met. Some people just, yes, thank you, because your love of the convention shows so much. But yeah, went for a meal. It was awesome. Just catched up, talked about stuff. Adam, being the very suave and sophisticated person that he is, just casually, and if you feel the Adam Whiteness going on here, it's because something very, very magical happened at AA 2014. Yes, I suddenly realised that I think it's crap, but a quite interesting, how do we say it, Adam White impression. And equally, people can do impressions of me now? Whatever. Yeah, there was a lot of impressions this year. There was a lot of racist impressions, which was just fun. I mean, come on. We don't care at AA, to be honest. Oh my word. So yeah, we went to the meal, and then after the meal, obviously, it was the quiz, the pub quiz, that we had a team. Our team consisted of basically the podcast crew, and then Katrina, who was reluctant to join us, because she wanted to be on Chris's team, to which, well, I'll let Jim talk about that when he comes to do his video, but yeah, but she eventually came over to our team, although it didn't really help, because I walk quite quickly, so does Katrina, but Jim, Raz, and Luke, they don't walk quickly at all, to be honest, which meant we got in there on time. However, we started the quiz with just 2 people in our team, so we had to quickly recruit a wild Ray that happened to appear, who was a great help, by the way. Thank you, Ray, for lending assistance, and an Ian, who also appeared to help us. And eventually they did arrive, although it was during the last couple of questions, which kind of it explains why we didn't come in the top 3 at all. I mean, yeah. Although I feel sorry for the underbass, I really do, because from what I've heard, they could have won it if only they had, given the right answer to one of the questions. But yes, but no, the quiz was fun. It wasn't what I was expecting. I was just expecting a bit like Swerves. There to be round tables in which the teams sat on, and there'd be a quizmaster who read out the questions, and it was kind of that setup. It was in the main hall, and everyone was standing or sitting, and we got pieces of paper to write on. And the quizmaster it was Dave and Chris McFeely, which is one of the reasons why he didn't enter the competition, the quiz, because let's face it, he would have won. He would have beaten all of our asses quite quickly. So yeah, that was just fun, and that lasted for about an hour or so, and then back into the bar for more socialising and just more talking, really. Friday was a very interesting night, because everyone's there, you're talking to everyone you haven't seen in ages, you've got so much to talk about, and you're kind of hopping between table to table, and sometimes you'll stick with the table for a while, and then other times you'll move over. Or you'll do a Raz, which is basically doing a Batman, which is like, Raz will be next to you 1 minute, and suddenly he's gone for like half an hour, and then all of a sudden he's back. I'm telling you, that man has magic. Raz, what is your power? Really? Do you have some sort of sorcery that you're actually hiding from us? Your Canadian wisdom. Oh my. Stereotypes. Yeah, stereotyping was a huge thing this year between the Iconic Reviews team, let's just say. If you've listened to the podcast, you'll know that we take the piss out of each other quite a lot. And when we're actually together, it's even worse. But I'll get on to that later. So yes, I was talking with Anton and his lovely partner, who Jim was smoothly just talking to. Very smooth, Jim, very smooth. To which Anton didn't seem that bothered, to be honest. So, but yes, the Friday evening was just good. Just sitting down, talking, and getting to bed at who knows what time. I can't actually remember the time that I went to bed. It was earlier than the Saturday and the Sunday. I think it was like 1 or 2ish. But it's just, yeah. The Friday for me is a bit of a blur because Saturday and Sunday, lots of stuff happened. A lot of stuff happened. Now, I've got quite a good memory. I normally remember every little detail that goes on during AA. But this year, because so much happened, it's just, wow. I don't know. So yeah, and also I was sharing a room with Tom, Armory Reviews, who I have to say, Tom, thank you very much. We didn't have any problems. It was... I would share a room with you anytime, sir. You are just generous. You were respectful of each other. We didn't take up space on the room. It was just very, very nice. So thank you for sharing the room. Of course, it was separate beds. You dirty, dirty people. Don't you dare think... Well, I mean, like, if you look at most of the AA pictures, you'll see that worse stuff happened. So yes, woke up at the crack of dawn on Saturday, being 7 o'clock. I'm like, I don't want to do this. Got up, went into breakfast, had the most weirdest tasting sausages ever. Now, is it just me, or did those sausages taste weird on the Saturday? Like, because there was something not right about those sausages, I'm telling you. They weren't pork. They might have been horse. Could have been horse. But yeah, went to breakfast, then talked to Ray, and that was interesting. Just catching up with Ray, finding out what he's been doing because of his absence of YouTube and reasons for that. I'm not going to go into it here, but it was just nice to catch up with him. And then me, him, and Tom, we said we wouldn't do it, but we do it every year. We queued up for the line to get into the dealer room, even though we knew that once the line starts moving, you'll be able to just walk in there within the next 5 minutes without a queue. But we stood in the queue for nearly an hour because we got the time wrong of when they was opening the doors. Although that did lead to quite an interesting conversation with Ray about not just Transformers really, but just stuff in general. Ray's a very interesting person. If you ever get the chance to just sit down and have a good lengthy conversation with him, do it. Really, just do it. So yeah, got into the dealer room and of course all the lovely plastic. However, this year, I don't know, there weren't that much variety. I mean, you probably know by now that I was looking for a code, a Function X Chrome Dome, not Chrome Dome. It weren't in there at all. They had the quadruple U at quite a ridiculous price, but not much else. They had a wall of Jetfires on Kapow, which was just crazy, and led to probably one of my most evil doings of the whole auto assembly, which was persuading young Luke there to buy one, even though Jim was like, "Hey, don't want that." Basically, I was just imagining me as being Luke's little devil on his shoulder going, buy it. Until the Sunday when he actually did buy it, and I sort of just laughed as he was showing it to me during lunch, just going, yeah, I wouldn't buy that if I was can't help it. I really can't. So yeah, looked around. There was some nice stuff in there. However, I was quite reluctant to buy anything on the Saturday because I don't know, something was strange about it this year. Where I was like, that looks nice. That looks nice. I don't want to buy it though. I'll wander around one more. That looks nice. That looked kind of nice. I don't want to buy it though. And that's kind of how every time I went into the dealer room on the Saturday, it kind of was. Whether it was with Luke or Jim or just on my own, it was just like, that's quite nice, but I'm not sure if I want to buy it. But of course, like, the main bit of Saturday was the bar, in which once again you had just YouTube hands-on version. Literally, you had the meet at 2 o'clock, which nothing really changed. That's the funny thing. There was Dave, Smuzno, being just the man that he is, buying that really, really nice, clear plastic beastie there. Yeah. But just imagine this. Like, so there's Dave. I'm sure a picture will be shown any minute now of just us huddling around the table, and I'll probably show a bit of footage as well.
See, there's the problem with iPhones. It's got its own unique connection, where every other phone...
Here's the worst part. The worst part about this, I've been working in computers for the past year, and the iPhone 4 connector is discontinued. So now...
Smile, Dave, you're on camera.
They're really trying to move everyone on the new phone thing.
But there's just, imagine, us sitting around a table, and it gets to 2 o'clock, some more people come over, but that's literally all that just changes. It's as if the meet was going on throughout the whole day. That's what AA is about, really. It's not schedules, or you don't have to be formal. It's just relaxing, chilling out, talking with friends, playing with bots, just enjoying yourself. And that really was what it was. Plus, turning Jim Shrapnel into what I class as just the weirdest sort of form ever. There's got to be a picture of that lying about somewhere, because tons of pictures were taken of the weird combinations that people made bots out of this year, and that has to be one of them. Just imagine like Deathsaurus' Fortress from Victory, but out of a shrapnel. You're kind of getting it. So then we went for lunch in Swerves, and I have to admit, like last year, Swerves is just a godsend to Auto Assembly, because it's just round tables where you're all sitting together, you're talking about bots, you're playing with bots, and you're having food. What more could you want, really? I mean, and it also gave me the chance to just sit down and have a talk with Dorian, which was just brilliant, because, yeah, that you, sir, are, hats off. Great guy indeed. And then after lunch, I actually purchased something, Shock Horror, from the dealer room, which again, I shut off in the hall. And then me, Luke, and Jim, I don't think Raz was with us, we attended the Death's Head panel by Nick Roche and Simon Furman, which was very interesting, let me say. I have never really been a fan of Death's Head. I've never read anything that he's been in. I've never had any reason to like the character, because I've never read anything. However, coming out of that panel, both me and Luke was like, we need to go and read some Death's Head comics now. We really do, because, oh my word, that character is awesome. And just learning about the origins of how he's created, and how over history he's changed as a character, and how certain series was planned and never made, and why in recent times Nick Roche has taken up the mantle of drawing him. And if you went to the Andrew Griffith art panel last year, it was kind of like that, but more about the character. And it all did have question and answers again, Jim being the prominent one. But yes, that was... Because, I mean, this year I didn't really attend many panels. I know I'm not really saying much, but I can't really say more. It was... Most of the time I spent was in the bar, just talking, chatting, being stupid, telling jokes, just recording weird things and enjoying the moment. I mean, I only went to 2 panels out the whole weekend. The Death's Head one, and then the Old Oil Houses recording, which was on the... I'm trying to remember now. I believe it was a Sunday. I could be wrong. See, as I said, AA for me this year, it's not a mess, but certain things I'm like, when did that happen? When did that? Because it all kind of merges into one, which shows you how much I enjoyed it. Because if I can't remember it, then hell, I enjoyed it. Plus, I mean, alcohol was involved, but I'll get on to that later. Jim, you have a lot of answering to do for that, sir. Yeah, next time I meet, I'm pointing the finger at you indeed. Anyway, so yeah, went to Death's Head panel, came out there, me and Luke both hyped about Death's Head comics, just talked more in the bar to people, I'm not going to name every single person I talked to because A, that'd be unfair, and B, I'd probably miss people out, but I will just name certain people that shone out, certain moments that happened with people. So anyway, we go to that, we then have dinner in Swerves, once again, just chilling and talking, and it was at dinner which we met, or I first met Carl face to face. Now I've talked to Carl over Skype Sundays, but I've never actually seen him in person. And Carl, if you're watching this, it was great to meet you, really, and I'm so glad that there's someone else that loves Victory as well, and also would want a Leo Kaiser party, or just an updated version as much as me. So yes, thank you, sir, and I owe you a drink, I really do, because you brought me a drink. This is just amazing. That's something, that's my only regret, I would say, this year, is that despite all of the talking and relaxing and chilling I didn't get around to buying enough people drinks. I mean, like, I brought probably, how many, 2, maybe 3 people drinks, and I really want to do more, because in previous years so many people have been so kind. I mean, the first 2 years of Auto Assembly you're settling in. By your third, you know people, you know what to expect. It's your family, really, and you want to repay that in some way for their help. And I just feel this year I didn't really get the chance to. So next year I will personally see to it that all of those who are entitled to a drink or two will be heading their way. Trust me. Yes. I'm slipping back into a very Adam White impression, but later. And stop it doing the impression. Jeez. So yeah, we was talking to Carl, and we was also talking to a very nice young lady who was a newbie. I hate using that word, newbie. Anyway, first time Auto Assembly. And I can't remember her name for the life of me. If I do remember it, or if you send me a friend request and I actually recognise it, then I will put it here somewhere. Could be there, who knows. So yes, which kind of spurred on Jim to be like, hey, why don't you all go back to mine for a drink or two? Now, I don't drink. I've had wine here and there, small glasses of it. I've had beer. I really don't like beer. But Jim has introduced me to what I can only describe as one of the most delightful drinks in the universe. That being Jack Daniel's Honey with Coke. Trust me, you need to try it. It's heaven. It really is. It turned this old sad bastard into a happy, just confident, just crazed individual on the Saturday evening. Trust me, if you saw me, I was probably talking quite a lot. I mean, I was merry, don't get me wrong, I wasn't drunk. I was merry. There's a difference. I was in control, I know what I was doing. I wasn't like, oh, hey guys, what's going on? Why's the floor moving? No, but I was just so happy, and everything just seemed, life is good. But yeah, so we went up into Jim's room, and it spurred on Jim to go, well, why don't we just record a podcast episode? Yeah, let's do this. And so we recorded a podcast episode for about an hour, which was the most raunchy, most bizarre, most just twisted and crazed thing that you will see coming out of Auto Assembly this year from anything that Iconic Reviews can put out. It was just, basically it was just people being slightly merry, talking about who knows what, and me and Luke being quite cosy on the bed. Yes, Luke. Please, don't get the wrong impression at all. Nothing happened between us. And the thing that made it worse though was before, as we was having dinner, Luke was like, look what I just brought, a TFCon shafter, which for those of you who don't know is a homage to the Generation 1 Erector. And I was like, 10 quid, I need to get one. So Luke persuaded me to buy it. And yes, shafter became the point of quite a lot of the talk for this random little podcast episode we did. Let's just say Luke was being shafted a lot. Just wait a couple of days and go and watch that, because it's out there, it's mental. Anyway, that went on, and then I was like, right, I need to go and have a shower, have a wash, and get back down in time for the actual celebration, the party evening, which I did. I got down there, and Jim was, I don't know what he was doing, but it was me and Luke, and we was like, shall we queue up? Yeah, alright, let's queue up. So we did, and in which we filmed this little short snippet here.
It's recording.
Yeah, say hello.
Hello, camera. That's hello.
Yeah.
We are in the line to Swerve's Bar, you know, the big auto assembly birthday bash. I'm with Rob, and he's very merry, as you can see.
Yeah.
Jack Daniels does that to a man. Yes.
It does indeed. Honey Jack Daniels, remember?
The most delicious beverage one can imagine.
You heard it here first, people.
Yes.
The Irishman likes Jack Daniels.
Covered in spuds, though.
Yeah, of course. It goes in anything these days, you know. Cool. Well, we're going to go in a minute. Say goodbye, Luke.
Adios.
Now, yeah, as you can see, there was quite a big line, and this is really the origin of the impressions for AA. Don't ask me why. It was because of the alcohol in my system. I was merry. Luke will gladly tell you that I was the happiest you probably ever see me. Really. Just go to AA and watch me after I've drunken some Jack Daniels honey and Coke. Yeah, I get quite happy. I'm quite talkative as well. So yeah, and we was just there, and of course Adam White, the great and just awesome man that you are, Adam, was doing his thing as a volunteer, making sure that the line, and for some reason it just spurred me to start talking in an Adam White impression. The main reason was that my throat was like really sore, so I can pull off quite a good Adam White impression. I mean, my throat's not as sore now, so it probably sounds quite bad, to be honest. But at the time, it was hilarious. And, oh wow, I mean, yes, you've got a very sophisticated man, Mr. Adam White, you know. And he will talk very, very low, very low. Yes. Hello everyone, Adam White, and welcome, Leo Remedelli. Hello, yes. It was, trust me, it was better at AA. It's because my voice is coming back now. So yeah, that kind of spurred on that impression, which actually made the line go really quickly, and we got into there, got a seat, luckily, unlike last year, which was packed, and just found the most amazing things ever. Cupcakes with Transformers faces on them. You know, you could eat Rung, you could eat Drift, you could eat Swerve if you wanted. You could eat Tailgate, poor Tailgate. If whatever took your fancy, I mean, like, it was just bizarre. And they had party hats, which me and Luke both broke within the first couple of minutes because our heads were too big for them. Really, it's the truth. And the party poppers, and yeah, it was. I love the fact that they just went full head with the party idea, and then of course it was cosplay, and the cosplay this year was just fantastic. The amount of obscure characters that people decided to cosplay as, what the wow! I mean, you had like, you had one of the best Ravage ever. Go and watch the video on YouTube of the Ravage missiles, because that's just fucking awesome. You had a Spark Eater, which I believe was it Izza? And Tori was Brainstorm? It's one of the two. I'm not sure which was scary as hell, and like even I think frightened Dave a bit. And you also had was it not King Poseidon. I want to say King Poseidon. No, not the Combiner. Those Aqua guys who appeared in the G1 episode with Atlantis, the leader of them, someone actually dressed up as that, which was just like, yes, this is awesome. This really is. So yes, the cosplay competition was fantastic. This year, something different happened. You had 3 winners. Normally you have like runners-up, but this year it was 3 of them. You had a Ravage with the most awesome gimmick I've ever seen on a cosplay. You had as I said, terrifying Spark Eater, and I'm struggling to remember what the third one was. It could have been Brainstorm, but it could have been something else. But all of the cosplays this year were good. I mean, even if they didn't necessarily have great looks, if they didn't have great amount of money spent on them, they were still looking fantastic. Now, I'm going to backtrack slightly here because after that sneaky jump cut that I just put in, I did remember something. Now, this has been his second auto assembly, but really it's been kind of the first auto assembly which I've known him for like all of it, because last year I met him about 5 or 10 minutes before I left on the Sunday. It was just like, hey, nice to meet you. You're right, yeah. And then afterwards I talked to him on Skype, and then he somehow snuck his way onto the podcast. We couldn't keep him out. We tried everything. Really, we tried. We tried Spuds and... oh, jeez. Damn, I said Spud. Spud jokes at Auto Assembly. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, he didn't really know that many people, so I was like, right, I'm going to introduce you to everyone that I know, and like people that you've actually done podcasts with, which led to the most bizarre sort of greeting. It was like, hey, I'm Luke, I did a podcast with you, ha, and they're like, yeah, that's awesome, I remember that. It's just like, oh my word. And I'm sorry, but the best thing was Andy Cobra Commander, my word. Oh, Irish. And then also, before the actual cosplay and all that good stuff, was one of the, it was just one of those moments at Auto Assembly where you're like, I'm so glad I'm here right now. Picture this. There's me, Sammy, Patrina, and several others sitting around a table, and the conversation turns into toy bios, and it's kind of becoming similar to the discussion that Sammy and Ray had at the first Auto Assembly that I was 2 years ago. Except then it goes into Transformers Prime, at which point Sammy's like, no, Transformers Prime's crap. Patrina's like, how dare you, it's not. And that starts off this just beautiful, and I mean beautiful in every single sense of the word, discussion between the two of them that went on for God knows how many minutes. It was just, oh. And in the end, I just had to go, look, it's good in both people. I had to play devil's advocate, because otherwise they probably would have carried on for the whole of the night, you know. And but watch out for Patrina. She has a dark side to her. Don't let that like the exterior fool you. There's a dark exterior there. Yeah. Plus, like, both of them had phenomenal arguing skills. I mean, Sammy, when he's arguing a point, he's so passionate about it. You're so passionate when you're arguing your point, Sammy, and that's what I just love it. It's just great to just sit there and just be like, yeah, you can tell these two are just so infused about the show. It's Prime. I take it and leave it. The ending sort of, but yes, just watching these two go on about it for God knows how many minutes, and everyone around it just getting more and more eager to see how this will end. Just fan-fucking-tastic. Anyway, so the cosplay competition was good. We then had the announcements for next year, which kind of actually links into what I was just talking about, really. quite nicely. Segway, smooth. A bit like Adam White, smooth. Very, very smooth man. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. Anyway, yeah, next year they've announced 2 of the guests, which I don't have. I can't remember their real names, but it's just basically Transformers Prime RC voice, Transformers Prime Wheeljack voice, and I'm like, yeah, that's okay. It's cool that they'll be here, but I'm one, they're Autobots, and as much as this year's Auto Assembly has tried to persuade me that the Autobots are actually not so bad, and I admit now I kind of look at them with a little bit of, yeah, you're okay. It's just the characters in Prime I don't have that much connection with, to be honest. So I'm sure it's brilliant. And of course they've still got to announce a 3rd guest when they actually get round to getting the 3rd guest. So yes, that was cool. And then we had, for me, the sort of the pinnacle of this whole party, which was the script reading. Now, last year's script reading was pretty awesome. I have to admit, last year's was up to a top-notch standard. This year's was at least with it was on the same. It was fantastic. It had one of the best scenes in any script reading I've listened to, which was tracks on tracks. And no, that's not some really bad fan fiction. That's literally Transformers animated tracks meets G1 tracks. And they have this brilliant conversation about vanity and just absolutely amazing. And borderline on dodgy, shall we say. Which me and Luke both found absolutely hilarious. Yeah, that's the way our minds work. Interestingly, like, we have the same middle names. That's just scary. I'm seriously worried now. It's just no. Anyway, so yeah, that went on, and then it went on for about an hour or so, and then afterwards they had a break before Gerard and his band came on. By the way, Gerard, when he's drunk, he is bloody hilarious. I mean, he's hilarious anyway, but when he's drunk, he's even better. I mean, if he doesn't call you a cunt, then you're probably not friends, basically. So yes, as they were getting set up, I was like, Jim, come on, let's have more of that Jack Daniels, because at this point I was like, yeah, I'm loving this stuff. So we got like pint glasses and took it to the next stage and did pints, and it started raining. That's cool. Ramble. So yeah, we went back up in his room, got some pint glasses, came down and went in, and just as they were starting, and I did actually catch the first 2 songs of Wolfgang, and I liked them. I really did like them, and I apologise, Gerard, that I couldn't stayed around to listen to more of it. However, a certain Ramondelli came up to me and said, "Hello there, I know you. We've done an interview with each other, haven't we?" Yes. He didn't actually talk like that. See? Channeling the inner Adam in you? The inner Adam. Yes, the inner Adam. But it was just nice because, as I said, we've done a podcast together. We've interviewed him on the podcast. And so I was like, "Hey, how are you?" So we went out of the actual hall in which it was in and started a conversation which lasted most of the evening. It was just like, first of all, it was just talking about how we were. We then moved into the bar area. We sat down. Livio started doing some sketches, which was just fantastic. Watching that man work, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever get a chance to watch Livio working on one of his commissions, it is just fantastic. It's so interesting. Learning about how he actually does lighting effects and how he does the shading effects on, and what kind of paper and materials he uses to get the right effects. It's just absolutely brilliant. And so for most of Saturday evening, it was me, Jim, Carl, Anton, Tom, Nick Hardy, who, Nick, you know, that stunt comms, they look really nice. And thank you Nick, thank you for that photo of all of us. Yeah. Why we're doing those poses, I don't have a clue. Anyway, I'm getting off topic again. Basically, we was just sat there talking to Livio, and it wasn't just about his artwork, no, it was about literally anything. We went on to TV shows that he likes, we got onto games, me, Livio and Anton was just like talking Mass Effect, and we was loving how the games are, and then Jim was talking about Gears of War, and it was just brilliant. And all this time, Livio's just casually carrying on with this commission of Nemesis Prime. Fantastic. I mean, it put all of us there to shame, because let's face it, I can just draw stickmen and that's about it. But when you see someone just be like, oh yeah, this is how I do it, and he just sketches something out in a couple of minutes, and yet even that sketch is better than anything you could possibly do. Just brilliant, brilliant. And yes, Livio does have dreamy eyes. and a very nice wife who is very friendly. And I hope she enjoyed the convention. Because I know afterwards they were going to Paris. Because this was kind of Livio's holiday, and then afterwards they're going on her holiday to Paris. So, and they're going to Disneyland, Paris. So, hey, you know, Livio and Disney, that surely has to be a story somewhere. There's got to be something in it. Anyway, this went on until about 11, 12, even 1 o'clock in the morning. Until the point where we was all just like, ah, yeah. Well, no, that was Carl. Carl was just like, Carl, Livio. But he also brought down his sketches, he brought down some of the commissions he was working on, he showed us the sketchbooks that he was selling, and just fantastic. I praise Livio's artwork because he has a very unique style to it, and I like that style. I mean, yes, just go and buy a piece of Livio artwork, people. Go and buy it now. Go and buy it, because I'm Adam White. I've got to try and stop doing that, because that will just become a thing and I'll just start talking like that forever. I really don't want that to happen, actually. Because then Adam will just keep doing the impression of me over and over again, which it's funny, but yeah. So yeah, after we talked to Livio, I was just like, oh, I've got to go and talk to some other people. And at this point, it was just like the bar was thinning out. You could tell that quite a lot of people had gone to bed. People were getting tired, and it was just like, yeah, I can't be asked. So, although it did prompt the most sort of brilliant encounter and slightly scary encounter I've ever had with Gruff, which was he literally picked me up in his hands like some sort of baby and just hold me like a teddy bear. I'm not kidding. There is a photo out there of that, and yes, he touched me in places. So yeah, and then it was on a conversation about crap chat-up lines and just bizarreness that ensued from there on in, and yeah, it was just crazy. And then gradually, when more people had gone to bed, it was just left with, there was me, Tony, there was John Paul Bove and Andy Turnbull. And now I am a Star Trek fan, and of course Tony, you are a Star Trek expert, you know, you're a connoisseur of Star Trek. I'm going to use that from now on. You're a connoisseur of Star Trek, sir. And so we just started talking about Trek, and we didn't stop for hours. Literally, we talked about everything and anything Trek. From DS9 to Enterprise to the films to Star Trek Online to like the deleted scenes from First Contact to the quoting Shakespeare's quotes from Undiscovered Country. It was just fantastic. It was just two geeks geeking out to the max that they possibly can be. And then it got even better when John Paul Bove was like, hey, come over here, and we started talking about how Kirk is a rapist. Because yes, he is. and you should watch yourself when you're around Kirk these days. And so the conversation just exploded from there on then, and I got to bed at about 5 o'clock in the morning. That's shameful, really. Which meant I only got a couple of hours sleep, and I woke up with the most, now, you would have thought that if I'd had alcohol for the first time, I'd have had a bit of a hangover. But actually, it wasn't. I had no headache, I didn't feel sick. The only thing that was wrong is that I was absolutely shattered. And Tom, who, as I said previously, was sharing the room, was like, come on, breakfast. I was like, no, I don't want breakfast. I don't want to get up. Just let me sleep. But I did eventually get up, get showered, and make my way slowly down to the breakfast table, in which I ate just hardly anything, to be honest. A couple of croissants and fruit and other stuff like that. Which by that point, the dealer room had opened. And me and Jim decided to walk around, see what was there for the Sunday, and I was just not taking any of it in. I was literally a zombie at that point. If you saw me walking around in probably around, I don't know, 12ish, 11ish on the Sunday morning in the dealer room, I was probably dead on the inside because I was falling asleep. So I thought, right, I need a cup of tea. Which again led to another strange and bizarre experience of having the weirdest tea drinking I've ever participated in. Literally, it came in a glass cup. It had a glass kettle, which, in order to infuse it, you could spin it around to actually infuse the tea bag and the hot water. And then you had a timer for each of different types of tea and how long you have to keep it in there for. This was just, apart from being absolutely shattered, I was just blown away by this weird and bizarre place I'd gone to, frankly. But no, it was much needed. That cup of tea was, I would have been a dead zombie for most of Sunday, frankly. And that wouldn't have been good. No, indeed. At which point Tom comes over and goes, look what I've got! I've got a Mastermind Creation Shockwave, you son of a bitch. That was me, what I was thinking on the inside. Because last year I tried to get one, and it missed me by this much. This year, however, I did see one, and I'm like, I've gone off of it. But it's just the fact that when he got it, and I was looking at it, I was like, yeah, that's so nice. I like it. But I don't want to buy it! Oh dear. I was terrible, really, spending anything. Just ask anyone who would just watch me walk around the dealer room, and they'd be like, yeah, he didn't really buy that much. It was kind of only in the later hours of Sunday that I just went, let's have that, let's have that, let's have that, cool, now I've spent all my money. Because otherwise I probably wouldn't have got anything. Well, I would have got one thing which I picked up on the Saturday, and that would have been it. And that's pretty crap, considering that, you go there for one of the reasons you go is for bots, you know. But hey. So yeah, I had a cup of tea, that woke me up. Again, saw Jake, brilliant cosplay, by the way, of Chrome Dome. Fantastic, awesome. I really wish I could talk to you more, Jake, this year. Next year, that will be one of my main goals, to talk to Jake Broster more, because, yes, he is a very talented cosplayer. And then, walked around the dealer room some more times, and thought, yeah, I'm not buying anything. What's wrong with me? What is wrong with me, people? And then had lunch with Jim and Raz and Luke. At which point, Amy suddenly comes up behind me and goes, here you are. Why is it always Adam? Every single person in this video has an Adam White voice on them. That's just how my mind is at the moment. I apologise, Amy. I apologise to anyone else who I've just done this voice. But she was like, here you go. Here is a cool little gift. And I was like, thank you very much. And thank you, Amy. Really, I cannot appreciate it much more. And you will see what that is In the next video, oh yes, you're going to have to wait. You're going to have to wait. Let's just say it's something that I appreciate a lot. And if you've listened to any of the recent Underbase reviews that I've been on, then you probably know what it is. Anyway, I'm like, right, well I need to go and buy stuff. Luke, let's just go in there and see what there is. So we did. I picked up what I think is probably a really good steal, played around with it, and that was the point in which Luke brought his Jetfire, and I was just like, I made you buy that. I'm evil. And he opened it and he actually did like it. So I'm glad that I could have helped you, even though my motives for doing it weren't exactly friendly, shall we say. And then of course there was the More Than Meets the Eye panel, in which we got some very, very juicy stuff about the Elegant Chaos that's coming up. So yes, we got some very, very juicy insight on what Elegant Chaos is going to be in the upcoming More Than Meets the Eye. It's just a little storyline that's going to take place, and yeah, and I can talk about it now because it's on all of the TF sites. It's basically the third part of the Shadow Play and the Chaos Theory that's been slowly building up over IDW over the past couple of years, and I'm looking forward to it. It sounds awesome, and you need to all go and read More Than Meets the Eye, although I'm not really the best one to go and say, hey, go and read comics, because I'm behind as well, so technically, yeah, I should just shut up now, shouldn't I? So yeah, we were watching the panel, and as we're watching this, Jim was like, hey, I've just gone and talked to Livio, and he's, oh jeez, I'm doing the Adam again, stop it, Rob, stop it. I've just gone and talked with Livio, and he's up for doing an interview today. And I was like, what? Really? That's quite awesome. Now, we was planning to do an interview with Livio for Iconic Reviews before, but nothing really came of it because obviously artists have schedules and we don't want to impose on them. But it's just great that Livio would have the time to just do this interview for us. And it was agreed that it would be at 6? Yes, at 6 o'clock. It was then changed to 9 because all of the IDW guys went out for a meal. I'm not sure where they went, but from what I've heard, it weren't very nice. I'm not sure if that's true or not. Oh, gossip. So yes, but that also meant that Luke, unfortunately, wasn't on it. However, Luke was there in spirit, as he did write the intro, and Jim did his best impression of an Irishman that I've just ever heard. It was basically a mixture of American, Belfast, and just slightly, I don't know, just slightly bizarre, to be honest. Although, to be honest, when I do like an Irish accent, apparently I sound Jamaican, according to Luke. So, what's the crack, lads? What's the crack, lads? Oh dear. But yes, after we had watched the More Than Meets the Eye panel, we went over to Nick Hardy and got the group photo of all of us, which I have to say was, thank you, Nick, for just thank you for being there. Thank you for like doing this studio, and I hope people went and actually got theirs done. I know quite a few people did, because on like the Sunday evening and the Monday morning, people were showing me their different tech specs, and it was funny to see all the different kind of weird stuff that Nick has done with the just awesome talent that he has when it comes to photography. So yeah, we did that, and we was like, right, we should probably go and get some lunch soon, shouldn't we? Yeah, let's do that. So lunch comes, and this is the last time that all of us are going to be there. So all of the Iconic Reviews hosts, because last year there was only me and Jim, and Luke and Raz had never really, they weren't really on the show until after Auto Assembly properly. So it was just the first time that it was all together, and you know, our powers combined, and Captain Planet unfortunately did not come out of my behind, despite as much as Jim wanted that to. You sick person. No. Disapproving look, Jim. Disapproving look. Anyway, But that also led to more brilliant photographs being taken, and there are probably, as I said, you can probably find them now. They're probably spread all over social media, of me and Luke being very cosy with each other, shall we say. It was a very intimate moment. Again, Adam White. Oh, jeez, stop it! I can't help myself. I really can't. So yeah, we had lunch or dinner. And that was something else. The food in Swerves this year was really nice. I didn't have a problem with it, and it was again really cheap and not bad service at all. And it was that I'm just thankful that Swerves is still here this year, and long may it live on Auto Assembly. So yeah, after we ate, we then moved out into the bar and next to one of the big, in the corner next to one of the big windows, and it was at that point that, well, we just all basically became racists. And just the impressions began, starting off with Luke, then going to me, then going to Raz, and then trying to figure out how we could possibly do an impersonation of Jim, which is the hardest thing to ever do. If you've ever listened to the podcast or ever met us in person, you'll know that we each have our own little things that we do without realising it. Like I say geez a lot, and what's the other thing I say? I can't remember, but yeah, I've got little phrases that I say. Luke just goes on about potatoes all the time. Raz goes on about arses all the time, and saying sorry because he's Canadian. That's what they do. But yeah, Jim, we was just trying to figure it out, and so it was mainly just let's do Irishman. And I feel so sorry for the two young girls that were there, new to the convention. One of them had come all the way from California to Auto Assembly, which I was like, wow, why? What? That seems a bit crazy. But apparently, like, this was the place to be for the 30th anniversary of Transformers. Better than BotCon, and that's actually a quote. Better than BotCon. So, organisers of Auto Assembly, well done, congratulations, because that's high praise indeed. And just quickly, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's working behind the scenes. Adam Slater, Adam White, Amy, Billy, Dave, all of those, Simon, and just anyone else that helped out and volunteered, because you guys don't get enough praise. You really don't. We make these post-AA videos and we go on about how we did this and we did that and it was fantastic, but we don't really praise you enough. So thank you for making a brilliant convention this year. It really was enjoyable. Anyway, it got to a point with these impressions that we started to become noticed by the quilters, shall we say, which led to one of the most bizarre encounters I've ever had, which is we're all doing a massive group photo of all of us being really like buddies, shall we say, and one of them comes along and goes, hey, can I take a picture of you? And we're like, yeah, sure, yeah, okay, why not, you know? So that's probably going to be just up on a random quilters website. I don't know if they have them, you know. They might have their own version of like Cybertron or Cybertron, but for quilters. And like we might be like the headline of it. Crazy people spotted at Auto Assembly. Possibly? But yeah, unfortunately, Luke being the... Luke. You really, really need to book earlier, sir, so that you can actually be there, because you had to leave, unfortunately, on the Sunday, which, again, spurred me to just go around and be like, we've got to say goodbye to everyone. You've got to go and say goodbye. But again, led to another great little moment between him and Andy, who I sense there's something there. Something's been established this year between those two. That there's a rivalry. There's something's going to happen next year. Something could go down. Shit could go down, man. And of course, introducing Mikey to Luke. Mikey, I mean, I've been to Auto Assembly twice now, and I have not actually talked to you, Mikey, and I like got round to finally talking to you. So yeah, hello. Jeez, we finally talked. My word, I apologise for just lack of not talking to you at all. Yeah. So yeah, and then unfortunately Luke had to go, and my heart left at that point. It was gone with the wind, shall we say? No, it weren't. So I then went up for another shower, because hygiene. You know, this year the smell and all that lot, it weren't bad. Really, there weren't many people that stunk that much. I mean, the dealer room did get a bit hot, but then you go into Swerves and it was like an iceberg in there. It was freezing, and that's brilliant because that could have got really, really just stinking, smelling, and just horrible, to be honest. But yeah, went up, got showered, and then came down ready for the Livio interview, in which we prepared like in advance and was like, yeah, we're ready for this. And to be honest, the interview went smoothly. I'm not going to talk much about it because you'll see it in a couple of days probably, if I can get it edited and uploaded in time, and you will see it on the podcast site if Jim can get it edited and uploaded in time. But let's just say certain things about primacy were revealed to us. It's shaping up to be a very, very good series. Please go and do the man a favour and go and buy Primacy. Of course I'm going to do my Adam White now because he likes to promote comics. Go and read Primacy. Yes, go and read Primacy. Yeah, we did the interview, came out, that went really well. And Livio, if you're ever watching this, Livio, wow, okay, hello. But thank you from the bottom of our hearts because it meant a lot to us, basically. And we hope, it wasn't that formal, to be honest. It was just like us drinking and being like, so, what's up? But afterwards came out, and the bar was packed at this point because everyone had gotten on to the point that you have to stay up on the Sunday because there's the picture and you want to try and drag out Auto Assembly as long as possible, don't you? So I was in there, again, more talking, more just nonsense and craziness. And then this is a downside, but it just pissed me off a bit. I went up to the room because I forgot my watch. I walked into the actual bathroom and the floor was soaked. Basically what happened is the shower had leaked all over the floor and it was just it had created puddles. So I had to just do a quick rescue operation, international rescues, Thunderbird style, and just use all of the towels that I could to try and dampen it down and soak up the water, and it did. Although it did mean that I used my main towel as well, which kind of sucks. But hey, I was a bit afterwards. I was a bit of a grumpy mood, to be honest. But bless their cotton hearts, Jim and Raz. You was like, don't be down, son. Don't be down. Come on, eat some chips and look merry. And do an Adam White impression if that makes you feel better. You know, everyone's got their hobbies, I suppose. Anyway, and then we had the actual survivors photo, which was early. It was like Adam Slater was just like, yeah, let's do the photo now. And so we all sort of crammed in to the space, and basically there was too many of us. There really was, because normally the photo is taken like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. This was at 12 or 11, and there was just too many people really. But it still worked, and it had the funniest moment of Auto Assembly, which is Raz. So Adam took the picture of all of us twice, and just as we was about to disperse, who should come around the corner but Raz going, wait, in which point we all just burst into laughter. It was hilarious, it really was. I mean, Raz, what are you smoking? I mean, are you smoking maple syrup again, Raz? Because, oh, that was hilarious, and that has become a staple, I think, of this year's Auto Assembly. It was just so well timed. And it's just, yes, the right thing said at the perfect moment. Just worked so well. So, once we all gone back to our thing, I started to chat to Carl and talking about Transformers Victory, and very generously he brought me a drink, which I will repay, sir, in any way, shape or form next year. Oh, fuck it, you lot are sick-minded. I'm just, oh, jeez. Jeez, there we are. Jeez, I'm saying it now. Sick-minded people, indeed. So yeah, I was talking to him about Victory, and we was just discussing like Auto Assembly and how it's been. And then, as more and more people started to leave the bar, as it sort of got on into about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, I saw that Tom was still up, and I went over to where he was, and he was with Chris Carter, John Paul Bove, Temple, Tory, and Andy Turnbull. And they was just having the most awesome conversation ever. It basically involved every word that has an N and an M in it, you switch them around. So essentially, Nick Roche became Mick Roche, aliens became aliens, and it just carried on from there onwards. It covered anything, sci-fi, fantasy, it was just hilarious, and oh, some of them were brilliant. Now, the reason for this, I'm not really going to explain, because it's basically ridiculing, isn't it? But even though Nick Roche just came and sat down, he was like, "Oh, we're ridiculing someone, but I don't care. Let's continue." Just yes, yes. Oh my, indeed. So yeah, that carried on for like several hours, and during it, the one and only voice of Transformers Prime, Shockwave, who I now have forgotten, ironically. Here, wherever. Came over and was like, "So who wants a signed business card?" And he was like, "Yes, hey, please, yeah, that'd be awesome." And so he just casually handed out all these business cards with his signature on. And I'm like, this man's a legend. He really is. He's just brilliant. And I just like, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. See, that is a true gentleman. In fact, all of the guests this year were really nice. I mean, Townsend Coleman's been at AA before, but they were all really polite and just wanting to get involved in the fans, and that's just brilliant in my eyes. And so we gradually got the reason of this crazy discussion, and I'm not going to say it here, but it was hilariously funny, and if you was there, you would know why. And this conversation, it just went on until the very early hours of the morning. I'm talking 4, 5 o'clock here, and it got to the point when even like Chris Carter and John Paul Bove were gone, and Nick Roche was gone, and it was just down to a handful of us, just looking at Temple's bizarre library of crap films. They really are. It's like a killer baboon, people made of mincemeat, so that when they like die, it just explodes everywhere. And all these really bad 90s and 80s like action hero film, B-rated movies. It was hilarious just watching all of these trailers. And again, that just propelled us into the 5 o'clock area of the Monday morning. I mean, I would have, and everyone else probably would have stayed up if it weren't for the really ridiculing that we was getting from all of the Hilton staff, the cleaners, as they was trying to like clean the bar ready for the next day. At which point we was like, well, we should probably get out of here now before something starts happening, you know. So I did get up and I did try and get more sleep, but I only got in about an hour's sleep and woke up just but I got up, had breakfast, had an full English breakfast, and that helped, to be honest. And then you had just the Monday morning, which the Monday morning is the most heartwarming part of Alter Assembly. Now, this is the first year I've stayed for the Monday morning, and I'm so glad I did, because it's then when you realise how much you care for these people, how much we care for each other, and how sad it is that we're departing, and the fact that we're not going to see each other again for another year, you know. And it just hits home of how much Auto Assembly is about the people, it's about the family, it's about just being with like-minded people who like the same stuff as you and get what you're going on about. And trying saying goodbye to them for a whole year can be very hard. It can indeed. So yeah, the Monday morning was just, today's morning was just, it was a surreal occasion. I mean, obviously, we kept talking in the bar, and as people started to leave, and you would be like shaking the hands and giving hugs and all that goodness. And you got to realise that, yeah, you know, it's the end. but it shouldn't be really. I don't want to wait another year. I want to see them like now. I can't wait that long. But hey, we have to, you know. And I don't know. It's just. But yeah, it's surreal. Surreal is the word for it. But definitely worth it. I mean, if you're doing the whole auto AA experience, the Monday has to be part of it, because it's the Monday that you realise that we're all the same. We're all just like just massive fanboys and fangirls and massive geeks that just care for each other. I know that sounds like sort of soppy and whatnot, but it's true. It really is. And it leads, and that sort of begins this post AA blues, or at least it did for me, because it's like you've just done 3 days of crazy, awesome stuff that you just won't do normally, and now you've got to go back to real life. You've got to go back to your boring old, just normal, day in, day out stuff. That's completely nothing like what goes on at AA. And you have to wait 12 bloody months until the next one. Which, yeah, is worth waiting for, but it just feels so long. And I suppose it's a good way to end this video by saying that this year's Auto Assembly was highly, highly enjoyable for me, and made me realise that it's just one big family. It really is. The people, the friends at AA that I had, that I've made over the past several years, they are more to me as a family than certain cousins or whatever distant relatives that live all over the UK, you know, because they care more, and because you care about them equally as much. So yeah, just again, a bloody awesome convention. Thank you again, all of the organisers, everyone that just made this convention so good and so worthwhile, and made us all go just crazy for a couple of days over the weekend. And next year is going to be, we're going to have a bigger hall, no more quilters, more bacon, and it's just going to be as good. It's not the 30th anniversary, but then again, the 30th anniversary is just an excuse to have a birthday party. It's the friendship that matters, and that is where I'm going to leave this video today. So until the next video I make, which will be my haul, which for you is probably going to be a couple of days time, for me it is just in a couple of minutes. I'll see you then, and I'll see you all in the flesh this time next year, which is a sad thought, but worth waiting for. So see you everyone.